Woo! The ferocity of this fire is overwhelming. We're on Encino Canyon Road near Zuma Canyon right now. The ocean is just about 3 miles to our west, but the blaze has since jumped the 101 and is heading into Malibu right now. This road is almost impassable as these flames continue to spread. Couple that with these high winds and you can see why this fire is able to move so quickly. For the second time today, this stubborn wildfire has jumped US 101. And there you can see some of the flames. Look at that flame. Oh man, it's real. Hey everyone, John Fenoglio here with Channel 5 News. We are in Lake Elsinore where the so-called holy fire has really taken off this afternoon. As we're talking right here, holy smoke, look at that right there. They're on top of this spot fire just in the nick of time. As we're talking about these embers, sure enough, something just exploded right here. Take a look. Whoa! We are trying to get a little bit closer to that fire so that we can bring you some images, talk to some firefighters as well as document this evacuation that is currently underway. So stay with KTLA 5 on air and online. As the Thomas fire lumbered up the hillside north of Ventura, it consumed everything in its path. Homes, cars, melting just about everything. You can see this vehicle right here is torched from the inside out, and tonight the fires continue to burn. Take a look right here. You can see that the foundation of this home, which was already ravaged by flames, is still burning tonight. As the Santa Ana winds have picked up, they are fanning the flames of the Thomas fire. Firefighters do not have the upper hand on this fire. We are going to continue to follow firefighters, their work out here. They have been working incredibly hard. We've seen their valiant efforts. They've been working non-stop, and you can just see the exhaustion in their faces as they continue to jump from hotspot to hotspot to try and keep this fire from spreading. But right now, 0% containment. We'll have another update soon. For now, reporting live in Ventura, I'm John Fenoglio, KTLA 5 News. Good evening, everyone. The good news is firefighters are making a dent in this stubborn wildfire. 36% of the blaze is now contained. The bad news is it continues to grow in size. A non-stop air attack as the so-called holy fire rages in the hills above Corona and Lake Elsinore. More than 21,000 people forced to flee their homes as flames continue to advance toward neighborhoods. As of Saturday, the fire has scorched more than 22,000 acres, or about 30 square miles. But firefighters are making progress.
We just did an aerial flight and they came out with the new percentage is 36%. As long as we can hold this fire to this ridge over here, we'll probably stay with that same containment.
U.S. Forest Service firefighter Jacob Carruthers says that increase in containment is good news for displaced residents in the areas of Horse Thief Canyon in Corona and McVicker and Rice Canyons in Lake Elsinore, where evacuation orders have been lifted. Making this firefight more difficult is this incredibly steep terrain that in many cases is inaccessible to firefighters on the ground. You couple that with an abundance of thick, dry vegetation, and you can see why this firefight is being largely fought from the air.
It's able to slow it down and possibly get us into some areas where we can actually go direct on the fire. Tonight, the winds seem like they're going to be dying down, and that's going to give us some chances to get in there and possibly go direct and button this thing up. So we'll see how it goes.
And there's another look at the holy fire burning in the hills above Corona. Night operations continue this evening. We also want to remind you that a man suspected of starting this blaze is facing multiple felony charges, including arson. He appeared in court on Friday. His arraignment was continued until August 17th. For now, reporting in Corona, I'm John Fenoglio, KTLA 5 News.
We start with KTLA's John Fenoglio, who's been out to the fire all day. John?
Sharon, Micah, Mother Nature is still calling the shots out here as the holy fire has gone from bad to worse this afternoon. High winds have fanned the flames dangerously close to homes, and if you take a look at the landscape behind me, you can see what I'm talking about. The fire coming in some cases just feet from homes here in this populated area in the hills above Lake Elsinore. As these winds kicked up and fanned the flames, we saw apocalyptic looking scenes like this one right here. And of course you can see that pink material on the ground. That is the Phos-Chek, the fire retardant that air support have been dropping over these homes to keep the flames from spreading. Take a look at some of these images. Firefighters on the ground and in the air throwing everything they've got at the so-called holy fire. It's the heat and an abundance of dense, dry vegetation. And today, the wind that is making this blaze so stubborn. In some cases, wind gusts as high as almost 20 miles per hour, fanning the flames. The fire that began Monday near the Riverside and Orange County lines in the Cleveland National Forest, continuing to chew its way through steep terrain towards homes. Firefighters facing an uphill battle against the heat-driven fire with temperatures climbing toward the triple digits. Making matters worse, fire officials say this area hasn't seen fire activity in more than 40 years, which means there is plenty of fuel to burn. Now, more than 20,000 residents ordered to evacuate some 7,000 homes in Trabuco Canyon and Lake Elsinore. It is a tough choice for so many residents out here. If they leave the evacuation zone, they can't come back. If they stay, they are potentially risking their lives.
I couldn't sleep all night. I hear all the helicopters, drop in the water. I'm thinking my house is gonna go down. And then suddenly this huge wind came out of nowhere in our direction, and the whole ravine just lit up. And then it went from house to house to house, and then it was in everyone's backyard. And we're thinking, whoa, where did this come from? It was a matter of minutes.
And yet you're still here. Why did you stay?
I gotta protect my castle. That's my castle, man.
The firefight continues here, and crews still have their work cut out for them here in the hills above Lake Elsinore. We'll keep an eye on this blaze and bring you another update soon. For now, reporting live, I'm John Fenoglio. I'll send it back to you. Hey guys, we are just off Las Virgenes Road. We are north of the 101, miles from this fire, just like Mark Mester was talking about, but we have got these hot spots that have popped up from these embers that have been pushed by these incredibly high winds. Of course, this was just a little bitty fire, but then we got these huge wind gusts. I gotta tell you, it's blowing like, oh, right behind the vehicle. Look at this, look at this. Come over here, guys, come here. Look at this. As we're talking right here, holy smoke, look at that right there. As we're sitting here talking about how these embers can just light up from being pushed by these winds, one landed right here next to our vehicle, and we gotta get out of here. We gotta go. Go. Hey guys, send it back to you.
Get out of there.
Okay, yeah. And I got goosebumps.
We want to give you an idea of the scope of the damage here. We are on Kalia Street at Albertson Avenue in the hills above Foothill Boulevard, just above the city of Ventura. It is entire homes reduced to piles of rubble. The gas is still on here and spewing some flames. Firefighters tell us it's mostly safe, but if we walk down the street, there's even more devastation. Almost every home, except for two of them on this street, has burned to the ground from the Thomas fire. The Santa Ana winds whipping up the embers and carrying them onto into these hills. And look at this damage right here. You can see that this car was still parked under the carport or garage there, melted through. The chimney still stands, the satellite dish attached to it, but everything else has burned to the ground. And there are blocks after blocks that are like this in the hills above Ventura right now. It's like a war zone, and it's devastating to see. Your heart goes out to the folks here because so many people want to know, was my home affected? Was my street affected? I've received messages on Twitter and Facebook. People want to know, can you go and check on our home? And we heard in the press conference just there that over 150 homes destroyed, but I can tell you from going up and down the streets in this neighborhood today, that number has got to be higher. There's just no way it's only 150 homes. There are so many homes that have been destroyed in the Thomas fire. We know that there's 3,000 more structures that are threatened, and as we heard in the press conference, they say that the fire is actually moving towards the city. The good news in all of this is that most folks heeded the warnings from firefighters and public safety officials to evacuate these neighborhoods. We know that most people got out. Folks have been taking what little things they can and in fact evacuating. So that's the good news out here amid all this devastation. We're going to keep an eye on things out here, and we'll bring you some more details as soon as we have them. For now, reporting in the hills above Ventura, I'm John Fenoglio, and I'll send it back to you. Tell us about What happened? You came back to defend your home.
So I have been up all night. The night before, the fire was on the ridge behind us, and just kind of monitoring the situation. And as the sun broke, I thought we had a little more time, and I was wrong. I luckily enough sent my 2 boys away. I get emotional every time I talk about. Sorry. I sent my 2 boys away an hour before, just saying, "Hey boys, you got to get out of here. Everything's gonna be fine." It is absolutely heart-wrenching watching your neighbors' homes across the street from you all burn while you're fighting for your own home.
Show us what this is, Tyler.
This young man, Matthew, has grown up with my son, and they fled like we did, and he has no idea that his house did not make it. And I am devastated for him, and I have been devastated watching his home burn.
Tyler, we are so glad you and your family are okay, and I'm so glad you and your boys are okay. Thank you for speaking with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for looking after your neighbors too.
Thank you.
All right. The stories we're hearing out here today are just incredible, and if there's a silver lining to any of this tragedy, and it's hard to find one, but it's that people care about each other out here, and it gives you hope. We heard earlier today firefighters talking about what it's like trying to get on top of a blaze like this, and they say that really all they can do is chase these flames. I can also tell you too that these guys out here have been working non-stop. Fire season is all year-round in Southern California, and as such, their work continues.
KTLA's John Fenoglio is in one neighborhood where several homes have been lost. John?
Hey, good evening again, everyone. That's right. Yeah, we're on the 5400 of Parkmore Road here in Calabasas. We're just south of US 101 and just above Las Virgenes Road. And this stretch of neighborhood was hit hard today when embers from the full force of this fire, which was miles away at the time, were carried by these forceful winds here into the neighborhood. And let's give you a look at what that devastation looks like. This is just one of now 8 homes that was destroyed. 3 others next to it were also burned to the ground. The home right across the street, though, and the home next to it on the right, they survived. Neighbors out here say that they know each other well. They are friends. One neighbor we spoke with said that he is devastated by the fact that his home survived. His good friend across the street, his home did not. He said he's already called and told him the bad news. He said, come and stay with us as long as you need to. It's a devastating situation, and people are going to be picking up the pieces out here for quite some time. Reporting live in Calabasas, I'm John Fenoglio. I'll send it back to you in the studio.